I think it said it stopped recording because there wasn't enough room on the SD card, though.
I know for some reason it reads that, but it's completely blank. So
Oh, that's goofy.
I have no idea why it does that, but for some reason it'll do that every so often. All right. So any questions on that one? All right. So for B, actually I think I'll do B on another page because I'm running out of. I should be able to do it on this one. Okay. So for B, if we want to find f of 1. Again, we just replace every x with 1. Okay, so that means you have 7 times 1 squared minus 3 times 1 plus 1. Okay, so we know 1 squared is just 1, so 7 times 1 is 7. Negative 3 times 1 is minus 3 plus 1. Okay, so get 7 minus 3 is 4, plus 1 is 5. So we know f of 1 is equal to 5. Okay. Same thing with f of negative 2. You just replace every x with negative 2. Okay, so you have 7 times negative 2 squared minus 3 times negative 2 plus 1. Okay, so you have negative 2 squared is 4, so you have 7 times 4. Negative 3 times negative 2, might as well say that's positive 6 plus 1, which gives you 28 plus 6 plus 1, which is 35. So f of negative 2 is 35. Oops, straighten that up a little bit.
So, when x is equal to 35, y is equal to negative 2?
Oh, no, the x is negative 2.
Oh.
Just that when you plug in negative 2, then it's equal to 35.
And y is equal to, okay.
Yeah, exactly. Okay. Any other questions on this one? All right. There we go. Looks like everyone's done writing. Okay, so now we're going to look at the domain and range of a graph. Now remember, domain is just every possible x value. And your range is every possible y value. Okay, so let's say, for example, if we have a graph that's your x and that's your y. Let's say we have a graph that looks like that. And we're going to highlight those specific points. Okay, so let's say this point is -3, 1. This point is 2, 4. And this point here is 5, -2. Okay. So your domain is going to be every possible x value, which means from this x value all the way to this x value. So this is going to be your domain. Everything in between there are possible x values, which means on the left side, your x value is -3. And on the right end, your x value is 5. So your x can be any value between -3 and 5. Now your range is every possible y value, which means anywhere between there and there could be your range. Let me kind of separate that a little bit. Okay, so your range, your lowest value is -2. And your highest value is 4. Now, if you notice there, we didn't use parentheses. We actually used brackets. Whenever you see closed circles, you're going to use the brackets because that means that you're including the actual value there. So when you have a closed bracket, you're including -3. And you're including 1. But if you had an open circle, that means it's every value except that. It could be -2.999999999, but it'll never be exactly 3. It can be really close, but it'll never be exactly 3. Okay. So quick note. Use brackets. For closed circles. Oh, clean that up a little bit. And parentheses for open circles. Okay, so any questions on that one?
Can you zoom this?
Hmm? Oh. Kind of experiment with the lighting. Is that a little better or worse? I'm trying to see which one. Okay. You like with this one, or that one? That's the worst? Oh, okay. So was that the best?
Yes.
Oh, okay. So I'll know not to turn on the light, at least on sunny days. All right, so let's say if we have an example here. Oops. Really? There we go. Okay, so let's say we have the graph. Absolute value of x. And you want to know the range and domain. Okay. So here, when you see the arrows on the end, that means it's just going to go on forever and ever and ever. Yep, so that means your domain. Because remember, let's say this is 1, this is 2, this is 3, this is 4.
Infinity.
Yep, -1, -2, -3, -4, and so on and so on and so on. Each one of those values will have a point on the graph. So 1 has a point on the graph, 2 has a point on the graph, 3, same with -1, -2, -3. That'll go on forever and ever and ever. So your domain is going to equal -infinity to infinity. Now, -infinity and infinity will always have parentheses. They'll never have a bracket because you will never be able to include them. Remember, the bracket just means that you're including that number. If you have an infinite number, you can't include it because you can always say, well, I'll add one more. And I'll add one more. Yep, so it's always parentheses. So infinity and -infinity will always have parentheses. Okay. Now your range, remember that's every possible y value. So let me block that off. So your range is just wherever the graph starts, or the lowest point on the graph, to the highest point on the graph. Now, since it's going up forever and ever and ever and ever and ever, your range will go up forever and ever and ever. But it starts at 0. Okay, so your range, bring that up a little bit more. It will include 0 because it goes right there. So that's where you're going to have a bracket. Since it goes up forever, it goes up to positive infinity. And remember, infinity and -infinity always has a bracket. Even if they're mixed, you'll have one side bracket, one side parentheses. The infinity will all have parentheses. Okay, so remember your domain, -infinity to infinity, your range from 0 to infinity. So those are all your possible y values. And if you think about it, no matter what you plug in for x, the absolute value is always going to be positive. So you're only going to have y values of positive numbers. Oops, straighten that up. All right, so any questions? All right, leave that up for a few more seconds. Looks like everyone's done writing. Okay, so these are some printouts of how a few of the example problems will look on the homework. So we have this graph y equals f of x. Okay, so we want to know where f of x is equal to 3. Okay. Now if we know that f of x is equal to 3, remember y is equal to f of x. Since y equals f of x, didn't need that comma there. We want to find where y is equal to 3. Okay. So since we know that y is equal to 3 right here, need a little bit. And y is equal to 3 there. Okay, that means y is equal to 3. So f of x is equal to 3 at x equals 0, because when x is equal to 0, y is equal to 3. And when x is equal to 3, y is equal to 3. Okay, so you have your ordered pair of 0, 3, and 3, 3. So your answer will actually just be 0 and 3. That box is a little small, so I'll just make it 0, 3. Okay. So sometimes they'll give you the equation, sometimes they'll give you a graph. They have different ways of asking you the question. Okay. Any questions on that one? Yes?
Did we put that in brackets or no?
Not for the ordered pair. Only for the domain and range, that's the only time you need the brackets. For the ordered pair, it's always parentheses. All right. And these will be scanned along with the other notes.
We cannot have these.
Hmm?
You don't have extra ones to have.
Oh, no, I'm going to scan them with the notes. Because these just show up right, just like this on your homework. Okay, so here, they want to find the value of f of 2. So for f of 2, you just want to find the value where x is equal to 2. So find where x equals 2. So here your x is equal to 2. Yep, it means it's 5. So f of 2 is equal to 5. Does that make sense? Did I lose you? No. Okay. Okay. So for this one, if you want to find f of 3, you just find where x is equal to 3, and where does it meet on the graph. So in this case, f of 3 would be 3. If you want to find f of 0, same thing. So it's wherever it meets on the graph above that x value. But it all depends on whether or not it's in the parentheses or not. Okay. If you notice on the previous one, it was just f of x is equal to 3. So since there was nothing on the inside of the parentheses, that's when you had to find the y value. So because of this one, since it's inside the parentheses, that's your x value.
We only have to find x.
Well, it depends on which one they ask you. Yep, for this one, you had to find f of 2. That's just when x is equal to 2. But on the previous one, yep, you had to find the x values. So just so happens on that one, y equals 3 had 2 x values. All right. Any other questions on this one? All right. Same thing here. F of x equals -3.
So we have to find x.
Yep, you want to find where y is equal to 3, since y is equal to f of x. Okay, so where is y equal to -3?
1, 4.
2.
Well, you got the 1, but it'll always be -3. Yep, so it'll be 1, -3. So in this case, x is equal to, oh, you said 1, 4. I thought you meant, never mind, I misunderstood.
Yeah, I meant the two x values.
Okay, I thought you meant the 0.14. That's why I mixed up. Okay, so you were right. Yep, 1 and 4.
How they're 1 and 4.
Yep. Because you remember, whenever you have the f of x up here, oh, that's a little bit of a glare.
Okay.
F of x equals -3. You just want to find where y is equal to 3.
So how
So-
did you find 4 and 1?
Oh, because if you look here, this is y is equal to 3 right here. I mean, y is equal to -3. Or you can say f of x is equal to -3. So which points on the graph crosses at -3? When x is equal to 1 and x is equal to 4. So that's at x equals 1 and x equals 4. So in the actual homework, you'd have to type in just 1, 4 in the little space. All right. Any questions on that one? All right. Say find f of 0. Okay, so what would be your f of 0?
1.5.
6.
Yep, it would be 6.
6.
Remember, whenever it's inside the parentheses, they want to know what x value crosses the graph. Yeah, so you always want to look at whether it's on the inside or the outside. Okay, so this, so f of 0 just means where does it cross the graph at x equals 0? Okay, so that's really all it's asking. Okay, so you know when x is equal to 0, it crosses the graph at 6. Okay, so your f of 0 is actually equal to 6. All right. Any questions on that one? All right, so we'll do one more. Okay. So what is the value of f of 2? Oh, sorry about that. Not 0. Remember, it's in the parentheses, so that lets you know you're looking for the x value. So where does x equals 2? Yep, -5. Okay, so remember, that's your negative. Whenever you're inside the parentheses, you just want to find out where the x value crosses the graph. So at x equals 2, it crosses the graph at -5. Yep.
So 2.
So when x equals 2, it crosses the graph at -5. So that means that f of 2 equals -5.
SCC, we have to go this way.
Well, it depends on where the graph is. So if it had f of negative 1,
Okay.
f of negative 1 would cross the graph here.
But, because we need 2, so we have to go.
Yep. But if you have f of 2, then it crosses the graph there.
Okay.
So whether it goes up or down depends on where the graph is. Oop, bring that down a little bit. All right. So any questions on that one? All right.